What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Monday, November 13th, 2023, and I have an emergency update to share with you guys. Right now, it is 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I have some more breaking news coming in from the Middle East to share with you. So, we have U.S. Central Command posting on Twitter this afternoon that for the third time in 8 days, B-1 Lancers conducted missions in the U.S. CENTCOM area of responsibility, demonstrating the ability to rapidly project combat power. So here we have a B-1 nuclear bomber, guys. This is a nuclear bomber. Okay, this plane was developed to deliver nuclear weapons. Okay, it can carry over a dozen air launched cruise missiles that have a range of up to 2,000 miles, and they can put a nuclear warhead on the tip of that cruise missile on each one, and that warhead will have a yield of over 5 times the power of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. So this is huge news, guys. The third time in 8 days that the U.S. is flying nuclear bombers over the Central Command area of responsibility, demonstrating the ability to rapidly project combat power. And my guess is these are coming from Turkey, but I could be wrong. And my guess is they were probably doing this over Saudi Arabia. Guys, this is very, very serious. Okay, we are basically warning Iran, listen, if you don't cut it out, we're going to nuke you. Okay, if you don't stop attacking our troops in all these bases, we're going to nuke you. Okay, that's what they're showing here. And we also have a nuclear armed submarine in the Middle East now as well. Okay, we have the USS Florida, which can carry 154 Tomahawk missiles, and each one of those Tomahawk missiles have the W-80 nuclear warhead attached, which has a blast yield of 150 kilotons. So this is very, very serious, guys, and we have more attacks on U.S. bases this evening. Iranian militias are now claiming responsibility for attacks on a U.S. base at the Omar oil field again, and also at Green Village. Okay, both of these are in Syria. So it's continuing to escalate. The attacks on U.S. bases are escalating, guys, and there were rumors of 4 U.S. troops killed in one of these attacks, okay? And the Iranian militias are saying that one of the attacks was a direct hit on a U.S. base. So I think there's a lot we're not being told about. I think that the true number of casualties and the severity of the casualties is being concealed, just like the true number of hostages held by Hamas is probably being concealed, just like the Black Hawk that went down just southeast of Cyprus that was supposedly training for evacuation missions in Lebanon. Uh, I think that was also something weird with that. I don't think it was a training mission. I think maybe Hezbollah fired a missile at it or something. I mean, there's just a lot we're not being told. Now we have nuclear bombers doing these exercises, if you will, over Saudi Arabia every second day. Okay. And we have a nuclear armed submarine in the region, 2 aircraft carriers, probably over 70 warships. We haven't seen that many warships in the Middle East and in the Mediterranean since 1945. We have the U.S. House of Representatives passing a resolution 2 weeks ago stating that the U.S. and its allies will not allow Iran to become a nuclear power, and they will do everything necessary to prevent that from happening. So it looks like everything is pointing towards Iran. And we also have some major breaking news coming from the Israeli Defense Ministry or the Israeli Defense Forces. I'm not sure what you'd call it. in Israel what the name of it is, but apparently Israeli defense officials said today that Israel is in an optimal position now for launching a war versus Hezbollah, and the Israeli Army Chief of Staff approved a defensive and offensive plan on the northern front and ordered all Army units to be ready. Okay, the northern front meaning the border with Lebanon. Okay, so they have already defensive and offensive plans, and all Army units have been ordered to be ready. And in my previous update, if you didn't see it, I recommend you watch it. I mentioned that Israel was moving tanks to the border with Lebanon, like dozens of tanks. And I uploaded a clip to my Patreon. If you want to see that clip and other exclusive content, check out my Patreon. There's a link in the description below this video, but it's just patreon.com/NYPrepper. And I'm posting some exclusive content there that I cannot post here. So I posted the clip of the Israeli tanks moving towards Lebanon earlier this afternoon. It's very, very serious what's going on with Israel and Lebanon right now. I think what's going to happen is I think Israel, once they're done with Gaza, once they eliminate Hamas, I think they're going to turn their attention towards Hezbollah. Now, a lot of the Hezbollah and Hamas leaders have said that if Israel wipes out Hamas from the Gaza Strip, that's going to be a signal for Hezbollah to unleash everything they have at Israel. So this is just the beginning, guys. This is not the end. This is the beginning. I think Israel is going to expand its operations to Hezbollah and also to the West Bank. And then I think eventually Iran. Something's going to happen with Iran simply because they're targeting our bases, but also because they're on the verge of getting nuclear weapons. And this would be the perfect way for Biden to boost his popularity right before his reelection, okay? For him to have a successful strike on Iran and denuclearize them, especially after all of the attacks on U.S. bases, it would position him to be a hero. And the chief of the general staff of Israeli Defense Forces said, "We are preparing operational plans for the North." Okay, so that is pretty huge news there. And the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, said that Hamas has lost control over Gaza and that the terrorists are fleeing south and civilians are now looting Hamas bases. And the Israeli Defense Forces say it identified several launches from Lebanon earlier this evening and intercepted a projectile. And the Islamic resistance in Iraq, these are the Iranian militias. They have now announced that they have launched close to 70 attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria over the past month. And they just said that they're going to start using a new short-range smart missile called the SARIM, spelled SARIM, which appears to be similar to the Fateh 110 ballistic missile used by Iran, and it has a range of 300 kilometers and a warhead of up to 500 kilograms. So that's a huge warhead, guys. So that's very similar to like the missiles that Russia and Ukraine were using, very similar to like a Tochka missile, the Tochka U missile, if you want to look that up, very similar. So it looks like the Iranian militias are now getting Iranian short-range ballistic missiles that they're going to start using against U.S. forces. Okay, these are basically Tochka missiles, an Iranian version of the Tochka missile, and they're going to start firing those at our boys. Okay, and I hope this administration does something about it, because 1,000-pound warheads can do a lot of damage and cause a lot of casualties. So this is very, very serious, guys. And gee, I wonder how the Iranian militias got a hold of ballistic missiles. Obviously, they got them from Iran. And a U.S. intelligence official has stated that the evidence provided by Israel claiming a Hamas command and operations center is beneath the Al-Shifa Medical Center in Gaza City is true. further stating that the fuel provided to the hospital is often stolen by Hamas fighters who regularly stage and gather around the hospital in order to use the facility and its patients as human shields. So it looks like the U.S. is confirming what Israel has been saying for a while, that Hamas is using Al Shifa Hospital as a command center and that they're stealing the fuel. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, everybody was saying, oh, Netanyahu is such a barbarian. He's not giving fuel to Gaza. Well, there's a reason why. Because Hamas is taking all the fuel. So why would he send the fuel in there? That doesn't make any sense unless he can escort the fuel and make sure it's getting to those hospitals. He's not just going to send in fuel so this way Hamas can just take it at gunpoint, okay? And the leader of an Islamic jihadist group called Al-Nujaba congratulated the Islamic resistance in Iraq for targeting Eilat in Israel and warned Israel and the U.S. that more is coming. And the White House announced in a statement that Israel agrees with the Biden administration about no bombing of Gaza hospitals. And National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the Israeli government is willing to provide fuel to hospitals to ensure they can continue to operate. So here we have 2 nuclear war command and control planes in the air just about 2 hours ago at the same time as a U.S. Army VIP plane flew from the D.C. area to Stratcom. This is pretty rare. So these are most likely U.S. Army generals on this plane going to Stratcom. That's pretty serious and it's pretty rare. My guess is that things are going to heat up soon, and they're probably discussing battle plans. So you can see here, Army Priority Air Transport left from Camp Springs, and it landed at Offutt Air Base, which is where Stratcom is. So I think the U.S. is planning a massive attack on the Iranian militias, but also Iran, okay? And we know that Biden and Xi Jinping are going to be discussing the issue of Iran this week when Xi Jinping arrives here in the US, okay? I can't remember the last time that Xi Jinping or any Chinese leader actually went to the United States and visited a US president. It's been a while, okay? And for Xi Jinping to go to the US, it has to be something serious. They're not just meeting for the fun of it, okay? It has to be something pretty serious for him to fly over here and meet Biden in person in San Francisco. And my guess is they're going to probably work out some kind of a deal related to Iran and also Taiwan. I think they're going to work out something where basically Biden wants to go into Iran is what I think it is. I think he wants to strike Iran with Israel. And I think he wants to basically work out a deal with China and say, listen, if you let us go into Iran and you don't, try to fight us on that, then we're going to take it easy on Taiwan and we're going to work with you on Taiwan or something like that. I think they're going to try to cut a deal related to Taiwan and Iran because, it just doesn't make sense for suddenly Xi Jinping to fly here to the U.S. now. I mean, it's just really bizarre. And here we have a picture showing the location of all U.S. naval assets and NATO assets in the Middle East. Okay, you can see over here by the Gulf of Oman, we have the Dwight Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group. And this is the one that, to me, is a huge red flag that we're going to do something with Iran, because you don't position an aircraft carrier in this area for no reason, especially because the war is going on in Israel and in this area here. Why would you put an aircraft carrier and warships over here? It doesn't make any sense. If anything, you would want to reinforce this area and put another carrier here, okay, if you were planning something big over here, but they moved the carrier in this area. So this is very concerning, guys. If you want to take a screenshot, do so right now. if you want to take a closer look at all the locations. But this is very, very serious, guys. The number of warships we have in the region is historic. And here you can see the distance of the Dwight Eisenhower aircraft carrier from Iran is literally 300 kilometers. That's nothing. 180 miles from the coast of Iran. That's nothing, guys. All right. And here we have a video that was posted by the Israeli Defense Forces. Here's one of the spokespersons for the Israeli Defense Forces, and he shows this Hamas compound that had tunnels under it. And he says that it was like right next to a school. Okay. So that's what they do. They build these compounds next to schools, hospitals, and civilian areas. So this way, Israel can't strike them with ordnance, with bombing. Okay. They have to go in on foot because the collateral damage would be too great. They do that on purpose, guys. So it's very similar to what the Taliban did. It's very similar to what the Viet Cong did in the Vietnam War. So let's listen to what he has to say. This tunnel is insane. He shows the tunnel entrance. It goes down pretty far.
I'm here in Gaza City. We are here next to a house of a terrorist. This is one of the senior terrorists who is the head of the operational naval operations that led the raids into Israel. His house is right next to a school. His house is 200 yards from the hospital of Rantisi. Next to his house, there is a tunnel.
All right, so he says a school and hospital are nearby.
Now I want to show you an operational tunnel. The tunnel is built with electricity. We first saw the solar panels, then the electricity goes here, and it goes down directly to the tunnel. Now you can see the tunnel. You can see the tunnel. The tunnel is let down more than 20 meters down.
20 meters down, guys. Look how deep that tunnel goes. Very sophisticated. They have a steel ladder here and a solar generator, solar system set up to provide power.
The robot found a door that is bulletproof. It's explosives proof. So it looks like a hard evidence, a clear evidence that the hospital direction is connected. This is a cover tunnel. It's part of the same floor and it slides down here. So it's a cover tunnel so nobody can find it. This is Rantisi Hospital.
So there's the hospital in the background. You can see how close he is to the hospital where this tunnel entrance is. And this is just one tunnel entrance. There's probably hundreds of them across Gaza.
And this is the place where I showed you the tunnel. I want you to see. This is the back side of the hospital. Hamas used this hospital. Tonight we have entered into this building. I will show you the evidence. Let's enter into the hospital.
So pretty crazy, guys. I wanted to give you an update on the situation with Ukraine. The former NATO Secretary General Anders Rasmussen and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander Admiral James Stavridis are asking Ukraine to accept the fact that it has lost territory and the war with Russia in order to join NATO. Rasmussen said it is time to take the next step and invite Ukraine to NATO. We need a new European security architecture in which Ukraine will be at the heart of NATO. And he said that the issue of Ukraine's accession to NATO cannot be postponed until 2024, basically saying it has to be immediate. So what they're saying is they want Ukraine to basically give away the land that was taken from them by Russia. And in exchange for doing that, then they would join NATO, okay? Maybe that's what's going to come of this. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. A former advisor to Zelensky, Alexei Arestovich, said Ukraine must leave the territories occupied by Russia and join NATO in a reduced form in order to receive protection from the alliance. He said, while the doors on the way to NATO are open, we have to go through them because in 6 months or a year, the situation can change a lot for us. And instead of an agreement to join NATO, we may have new Minsk agreements. So, very interesting, guys. We'll have to wait and see what comes of that. But it looks like there's more pressure from NATO countries and the West for Ukraine to come up with some kind of a peace deal. So basically, a disaster by the Biden administration. This whole war with Ukraine and Russia, the Biden administration has completely messed it up. All that equipment, all that money, and all the lives lost. And now Ukraine is just going to, accept the ceasefire. I mean, that's just insane. That would be a really big defeat, not just for Ukraine, but for the U.S. And here we have a picture showing some Israeli Defense Forces inside of the Hamas parliament building in Gaza City. So the Israeli Defense Forces are basically in total control of Gaza City now, for the most part. It looks like the only thing left that they have to do is finish clearing out the Al Shifa hospital and going through those tunnels and getting the hostages. So I think the next target is going to be Hezbollah. All right. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Israeli defense officials have already approved a plan for that situation. They had an emergency meeting yesterday with their war cabinet. So things are going to kick off very, very soon with Hezbollah and then eventually Iran shortly after. So I'm going to continue to monitor the situation, and I will do a live stream sometime this week. I'm going to be very busy the next 2 weeks or so because we have Thanksgiving coming up, and then there's 2 hunting seasons coming up here in PA. We have the bear hunting season and then the deer season. And I have some family members visiting me. My parents are coming to visit, and I'm going to be hunting with my dad for like 2 weeks, basically, for the most part. So it's going to be difficult for me to live stream probably the next 3 weeks or so. So just bear with me, but I do plan to do some live streams. Hopefully I can do one this week and maybe one next week. I'm not sure about next week though, but I'm going to try to do one this week. So other than that, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon below so you get notified when I post these emergency updates. And check out my Patreon for exclusive content. And check out my sponsors. I have a bunch of good sponsors. They're in the description below this video. And I will be doing more updates tomorrow. So until then, have a good night. Take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.